Try to get you a date.
Hello, welcome from She Leads Church. Today I am joined by my good friend Jenny Randle, which is why she said, "Hey, last time we went live, we did this."
Should we tell the people?
That's because we're real people.
Yeah, we're real people.
Yeah, we're not professionals. We're just here for the fun of it. So, I mean, it's fine, Jenny. On Friday, I literally just went live to read Christian jokes.
Oh, wow. I
Did
bet
you
that
see
was
it?
a high performing. I saw you were doing it, and I should have. I missed out on
I
some
know
greatness.
you really missed the Christian jokes. They were really something. And so we're very serious here at She Leads Church, in church communications, because I left the branding up for church comp. So y'all can just appreciate it's brought to you by Church Communication. So today we're going live because we're excited to talk about She Leads Church. Jenny's been a part of it in the past. We actually watched Jenny's video last week, so with Nona. And this week we're
Who I
going to
love,
watch.
by the way. Sorry to interrupt. That was sweet. Love you guys.
Well, we love you. That's why. So yeah, a lot of fun. So this week we're excited. We're going to watch Juliet Lyon's video about obedience, and I can already tell you that I am already convicted by it because we just read the description together, and we were like, "Yep, already messed up today."
We were repenting. Yeah. Oh, Allison's here. Hello.
Good morning, Allison. Yeah. So, yeah. How have you never met in person? That's the real question for today, for this morning.
Me and you, I know. I feel like we've hung out so much in real life because I just feel like we're so close. But
yeah, we've been real friends this entire time, but I don't know. We just haven't met in person yet, so which is fine. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and move us over to the video layout. Okay, what's really funny is that this entire time, like this video has been in the corner, and it just looks like we've been ignoring Juliet this entire time. But we haven't. We just haven't played yet. So we're gonna make sure. Hopefully, this video plays just fine, and everyone can hear it. So here we go. We're rolling into it.
Hello, ladies.
I feel good about it. I just cannot hear her.
Get ourselves ready.
Oh, you can't hear it? Oh no, I hate when that happens. Okay, well, that's good to know. Everybody says lost sound. Excellent. Well, we love that. Okay, let's stop sharing and let's fix it. Let's fix it.
I feel like right when I started saying we lost her sound, I started hearing her. So.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's good to know. Okay, let's try it. Let's try it again then. Okay. Thankfully, she only said welcome, and she said Caitlin instead of Katie, so we're good.
Okay. Oh, she was talking about like thanking you for being there.
Yes, all she said was thank you for being here. So you didn't miss anything too exciting yet. Don't worry, y'all.
Okay, hopefully you won't have to keep verbally transcribing this situation.
I'm going to verbally transcribe the entire video for you.
Actually. And I will act it out.
Okay, excellent. All right, here we go.
For 2021 by gathering, equipping ourselves, and setting ourselves ready on the front foot to be able to run harder than we've ever run before. And so, yes, we're going to talk about rhythms. We're going to talk a little bit about the lessons that I've been learning over this last season for what God wants to do in my life and how He wants to do it in my life. But first, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself so you have a little context. You know, myself and my husband, we are here in Chicago, but I was actually born in Nigeria, in West Africa. And so I was raised in London, hence the accent, and which is where we met and got married. And so when we moved over here, we moved separately, hearing a word from God that He wanted us to build a church in Chicago. And so in obedience, we did everything we could. We tried to equip ourselves by, there was a few detours along the way, but by the grace of God, we're here. We moved here just a few months ago. And so we're here building church, and it's just line upon line, precept upon precept, person by person, meeting people on Zoom and figuring out what church looks like in this season, in this COVID quarantine era that we're in. You know, in the process of doing all of that, we managed to have two children, two incredible children. Our firstborn, Lola Blaze, who is literally a little blaze of fire. She is a fireball, and God is going to do so much through her. And then we have our second and youngest. He is Levi Zion. He is our peace baby. He is a warrior, and God has put so much on his life, and we're so excited to be stewarding these incredible, precious lives. But with that comes a full day, a full calendar, a full life, right? We've got two kids that we are looking after full time. They're not in daycare in any way. We are building church. We're starting, we're pioneering, building our core team. We really didn't know anyone here in Chicago.
Okay, so I'm pausing this just for a second to say church planners are heroes.
Yes,
Also
during COVID, nonetheless.
Yeah, especially during COVID. And then too, which COVID hadn't happened when she recorded this quite yet. So, but then, I mean, it just happened literally after this was, after she made this happen. And so, and then two, moms are also heroes. So, you know, way to go. Really excited about that. Thanks, moms.
Yes. Yes, and amen. I love the way she described her kids too. That was really sweet.
I know. I was like, okay, thanks. I hope my parents say I'm a warrior.
Yeah, and a peace carrier. Like, I'll take some of that. Okay.
Yeah. Like, I hope somebody describes me like this. I mean, golly, all right, you're speaking truth into me, and you're talking about your own babies.
I mean, why aren't we her best friend? Okay, continue.
No. Sorry. Okay, all right.
Person that was an old friend. So we really are just, you know, quarantined in our house trying to build a church. It's just so funny, and it has to be God.
I guess never mind. Quarantined in her own house. She must. COVID must.
Yeah, and she said they were doing Zoom too. So yeah, figuring it out.
My bad.
Major props. Major props.
Otherwise, almost looks like madness to most people, right? So that's been an amazing time. But also, we have to put food on the table, and we're pioneering all sorts of different things. So God has been faithful to us. God has been good, but life is full. And so some of the biggest lessons we're learning is how to run in the cadence of the rhythm of the life that God has for us. And so there are three things that honestly that I've just been learning in this season, that we as a family have been learning in this season, in order to help us to do this right and to do this well and to do this with longevity. Because the reality is, we don't want to be a flash in the pan. We want to be singing our praises and making God look good every single day of our lives for the rest of our lives. And what that means is that we take this as a marathon. And so God has been teaching us three main things, and I want to share that with you today, if that's okay. And so that we can continue this conversation of how we build healthy rhythms in our lives, so that we can go the long haul and be the person that God has called us to be, with strength, with dignity, and making God look as great as he can be, as he is. You know, the first thing that God is teaching us is to pursue peace. And, you know, I don't know about you. I follow peace in every area. And, you know, we always say it, you know, I don't have peace about it, or, you know, those kind of things. But for me, this has been an active warrior-like following, almost like I'm stealth mode, trying to follow and breathe out and sniff out peace, because it's the only thing. Honestly, I've had to make so many huge decisions in my life with huge consequences. And had it not been for peace that passes all understanding, peace being the person of Jesus Christ, I don't know, honestly, where I would be today. And we all know that Bible verse, right? In Philippians 4:7, it says, the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and mind in Christ Jesus. And I remember reading this in the Passion Translation the other day and just mind blown. It says it like this: don't be pulled in different directions or worried about a thing, but be saturated in prayer throughout every single day, offering your faith-filled requests before God with overflowing gratitude. Tell him every detail of your life. Then God's wonderful peace that transcends human understanding will make the answers known to you through Jesus Christ.
Okay, so I had to pause again. Yeah. So first off, okay, like, yeah, excellent first point. Because I was really just like blown away by like peace being Jesus. It's so funny because I know that, like, and I know like the peace that passes all understanding and those kind of things, but like I never think about peace is Jesus. Jesus is peace.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like I think about Jesus being love, or I'm also like a big fan of thinking that God is time as well. But I've never really considered like the concept that Jesus is peace. And so, anyways, I was just like, all right, Juliet, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, you can tell she really embraces this, like the understanding of peace, even with the cadence of her delivery and how she's speaking. Like she's not rushed to get to the end. She's you can tell she embodies peace. And I know I have a couple friends that are like that, and I'm like, oh, it causes me to actually slow down and like, oh, and they just like exhale this like, oh, you can feel it on people, and she definitely is like living that out. And I love what she said too about the building process. You have to think of the longevity of it. Like I think a lot of times in building projects or stewarding things within the church, it's like from project to project, and we just got to get to the next thing. And I love how she mentioned there's longevity in what we're doing. It's not like a one-hit wonder. We need to play the long game on this. And I've been convicted of that in a lot of different ways through launching books and other projects. And she's right on the mark with this.
Yeah.
When we settle in the peace that he gives, all the answers come. And I've seen it happen time after time after time. I don't know about you guys, but I'm a morning person. The morning is when my brain just opens up and I've had a good night's sleep.
We're praying for it, Juliet. Like we're praying that the Lord brings us to the morning. It's morning time right now. It was a struggle. Actually, me and Jenny were talking about that. She had some stuff that she needed to do before this. I was supposed to work out before this, and I completely forgot. I left my trainer high and dry.
Like, how many times can we hit snooze? It is a struggle.
I know, and it wasn't even snooze. I just completely forgot. I think it's because it's a Tuesday, and like my day is starting on like my week is starting on a Tuesday, and I am used to it starting on a Monday, and my brain was just like, nope. So yeah, I'm a little off. Anyway, sorry, we're back to Juliet now.
Yes.
And I'm able to just press pause on all the distractions that the world so easily ensnares us with. Screaming children, nappies everywhere, phone calls. My phone is off until I've centered my heart and prayed to the one who gave me life in the first place. And so I don't know. Sometimes I look at research, and there's so much research out there talking about peace and talking about the benefits of just mindfulness and all these things. And science is finally catching up to the biblical old age truths. There's so much stuff out now, but there's this research that's saying that inner peace can actually increase your intelligence, can actually increase your focus, your memory, and even your mental health. How amazing is that we can actually grow our brains? The actual size of our brain can grow when we practice just staying in that place of peace.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I've actually heard some science behind this about like stress and like anxiety will kind of shrink your brain a little bit, which I am one to deal with that. So I'm not saying that that's not valid. Or like that's not a real struggle for a lot of people, or that Jesus can like come and completely heal that situation. But I also feel like, I think she's talking about a little bit different of a thing, right? Like not just having like dealing with anxiety or dealing with stress, but like the deep peace that comes with knowing Jesus.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
It's meditation, it's prayer, however you want to call it as a Christian. For me, it's just focusing on God and taking away all the distractions, accepting and paying attention to my thoughts and my feelings without judgment, without condemnation, and allowing God to move as he would in the cadence of my head and my heart, and giving me the truth that I need for every single day. You know, there's an area of the brain called the prefrontal cortex, and research has shown that after just a few weeks of practicing this type of mindfulness and just seeking out God and praying and just centering and focusing your mind, you're actually able to grow that gray matter. MRI scans have proved it, that you can actually enlarge your brain and settle your mind and focus stronger and think clearer, as you're just taking time to just be still. Be still and know that God is God. Your inner peace is all you need to get focus. You take away your phone, take away comparison, take away all the things that can easily ensnare us. And God, the God of peace, will guide and lead you as you're managing all the priorities, all the important things, all the urgent things, and being able to marry them together in this beautiful rhythm. Not saying that every day is going to be the same, because it really isn't. And the second thing that God has been teaching me is that it's important to be militant about defining your yes. Be militant about it, because when you're militant about defining your yes, your no defines itself. Proverbs 16 verse 9 says this: in their hearts, human plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. Yeah. How do you define your no? You write out a personal mission. Writing out, I don't know if you've ever done this. I don't know if this is something that's important to you, but it is critical that you know what your personal mission is. So often everyone's like, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? You know, your purpose is aligning yourself with God's will and letting him shape and sharpen you into the thing that he has created you to be, so that we're a part of something bigger than we could ever be. But your mission and who God's called you to be in the day-to-day, you define that.
Okay, that's good. I wanted to pause that just for a second. Jenny, have you ever done this?
Yeah, yes, it's helped me create good boundaries on what projects to work on and where to show up and things like that.
Yeah, I think I recently kind of did this myself, not on purpose, which is kind of funny. I did an interview recently for, well, like, you know, not recently, like 6 or 7 months ago for a job. And I remember really writing down, like, why do I want to do what I'm doing? And like, who am I exactly? And then when I wrote it down, I was like, oh, well, that makes a lot of sense. Like, I think God has really like shown up and made it really abundantly clear to me what my purpose is and like what I'm doing. And so, yeah, it was just, it was really nice when you do know exactly like what your purpose is and what your goal is, because it does make saying no easier, right?
Yeah. And I think too, if you recognize the patterns or the way God has used you in the past, like I've overanalyzed the last 20 years of my work and what that looks like. And of course it's shifted and molded and changed, but there is this undergirded theme throughout it all where it aligns. And I think when you can kind of trace the patterns of how God's used you and what that looks like, it helps you not only understand your talents and your giftings and where you can land, but it helps you set those boundaries in what that looks like, and even defining your mission statement.
Yeah.
And so how do you write a personal mission? Well, the way that I approached it was that I looked at every single part of my life, all the important buckets of my life. And I looked at
pretty good.
If my days, because our days are numbered, when my days are done and I'm standing before the throne room of heaven and I've left behind whatever I've left behind, what would I want them to say? What would I want my buckets of things, of important things to say about me? And my buckets were my husband, my children, my family, my closest friends, my church community, my inner circle, my people that I was leading, the people that led me, the people that I worked with, the people that I influenced, my social media friends, all of it. What would I want them to say about me? And then I went about writing that down. I wrote that I wanted my husband to think that I was the most incredible life help to him, that we were best friends, that we did everything together, that I was his greatest champion, that I prioritized our marriage over every single thing that we did, that we placed our hands, and that we definitely put 10,000 millions to flight as a result of just hand in hand walking with God by our sides. I wanted my children to be able to say that I was fun, that I gave them my attention, that I helped them see Jesus for who he really was, that I allowed them to become their truest and best self, that I gave them every opportunity that life could pertain to them. And I wanted my colleagues to be able to say about me that I was someone that helped them become their best self, that I was open, that I was vulnerable, that I was strong in my leadership, that they were able to follow me, and that I wanted people that led me to be able to say that I was teachable, that I'm able to be able to learn and do things around the cadence of however life, the spirit of flexibility was on my life. There's so many things that you can say. And then you write everything down and you let it be plain to you. And then let that guide your year. Let that guide the calendar of your month. Let that guide the calendar of your week. And let that guide the calendar of your days. If that means personal devotion time, if that means spending more time with God, having a family holiday, being really militant about saying no to certain things so that you can focus on your marriage, focus on your children, focus on the big important moments of life. And so that was so important, to be able to take the time to look at my life and say, what's important? Let me make sure that I marry that to my calendar. And then the third thing that I learned is that I needed to pursue diligence. And with this, when you think about your goals, don't think just achieve goals, think build habits, building habits. The rhythms of life are just that. They're rhythms. They change and move to the cadence of life. And so as we're building our goals and we're building all these big grandiose things, it's our habits that are going to get us there. Hebrews 10:35 and 36 says, therefore do not throw away your confidence, which has a great reward, for you have need of endurance, so that when you have done the will of God, you may receive what is promised. When we pursue habits, goals become way more realistic and way more achievable. And I realized once I had allowed myself to be guided by these priorities, I made myself create a plan and a plan of these habits, and I kept myself accountable. I was able to track my habits so that each habit led to the goal. And so as I was doing that, I was seeing that God was helping me, that I wasn't just working with what was the most urgent, because sometimes the most urgent thing really isn't the most important thing to be working on, and letting my no be defined by the things that I was prioritizing was absolutely imperative to getting the work of God done in my life and to get.
Okay, sorry, I had to pause it.
Pause it.
Well, she was speaking a lot of good truth there.
Yeah.
What I really want to talk about for a second was habits. So I remember actually writing probably probably 6 or 7 years ago, I wrote a blog about how I didn't like New Year's resolutions because I felt like they put a lot of pressure on you to perform, and you almost always lose it, right? You're always like, I don't know, I'm done with it. Like most of us, it's February 22nd now. I bet more than 75% of us have not paid attention at all to our New Year's resolutions. But for me, what I really like to do is habits, like creating better habits. And so habit stacking is one of those things. If you've ever heard of have you ever heard of the concept habit stacking?
No.
This is how you make a good habit. So it is easier to do if you do habit stacking. So this is actually a concept, I think it's from James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habits, but essentially it's where you're used to doing something every day. And when you do that something every day, add something else to it, so you'll remember to do it. So for me, I wanted to practice more gratefulness, more mindfully being grateful for things in my life. because you're like proven to be more happy or whatever if you're counting the many blessings one by one. And so I practice habit stacking of every time I grab my hair dryer, I like think about all the things that I'm really grateful for. And it's easy because I already have time. It's not like I'm thinking about anything else other than what all the stuff I need to do that day when I'm like drying my hair. So why couldn't I just think about the things that I'm grateful for?
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it just made it so much easier to remember to practice it. And so, because I was already like, doing something. So a lot of people have other ones, right? Like if I grab the coffee pot, like I'm going to pray, or like if I do this, like I'm going to do this, like, and so like, or even for me, like I'm used to Tuesday and like, this certain morning or whatever being the time that I go work out, which obviously didn't work out for today because I thought it was Monday. But it does make the habit a little bit easier when you have a rhythm to what you're doing, or, your goal even easier if you can like add it to something else that you're already doing.
Yeah, I love that so much. I'm going to use that. I coach aspiring writers, and the hardest thing is actually showing up to write. Like you can have all these great ideas and understand where the project's headed, but if you're not actually taking that 3 hours or a chunk of time to actually show up to get the words on the page, you're not actually stewarding that thing well. So I always tell them, just pick one day a week, or like look at how much time you can invest in this, show up at the same point every time, and actually honor when you schedule that on your calendar, and actually like that is the biggest part of your thing, like show up for it. And it helps people create those habits, and then eventually it's not so torturous.
Yeah, it's so funny. I remember like when I was reading about writing, when I was writing myself, and like I can remember them saying, like, just show up for 10 minutes. Just say that you're going to show up and write for 10 minutes. Not that you're, going to actually write, but just show up to do it. Yeah. And, if you do more than that, excellent. But if you don't, like, that's okay. Like, just show up, like, just force yourself to show up for it. And it really did make a difference in like how I approach it, I think, eventually. It's just like, learning to run or whatever on a daily basis. If you can just force yourself to just show up.
Yeah.
Then it's going to make a difference. So
yeah. Yep. Yeah. Love it.
Okay. Back to Juliet.
To the end of every single day, settled in peace, knowing that I did my best. Now, this isn't about beating myself over the stick with the achievement, the achievement rod. This was about learning that it's okay to fail. It's okay to do great things, but it's also okay to not do great things, as long as I was slowly moving every moment before myself and knowing that I was achieving everything God had for me, step by step, line by line, precept upon precept. God has incredible things in line for us. God has an incredible plan for the life that you are living. God has so many people around you that he wants to touch with the best you. But it comes when we are diligent with the rhythms of life and making sure that we're working from the inside out, not the outside in. I pray this blesses you. I pray that God speaks to you and that he's able to lead you in the path of everlasting life so that you can be the very best person you can be for his kingdom come, for his will to be done on this earth as it is in heaven. In Jesus' name.
Yeah. Some great Sheely's church music, Yeah. We love it. Okay, sorry.
So good.
Dun, dun, dun.
Juliet brought it.
She really did. I know. Like, what the world? Okay, so I just feel like she made so many good points.
Yep. Find that peace, be diligent. It's the long game. Yeah.
Right. Practice better habits to reach your goals.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I'm gonna work on that today. So now that I'm like feeling not convicted in a bad way, but convicted in a good way. So
yeah, that's awesome. Yay. And yeah, the people commenting are super into it too. This is awesome. This is fun. Thanks for having me hang out with you.
Yeah.
Get some pep in my step to start the week.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. Okay. So if people want to connect with Jenny, how do they do it?
Oh, well, I just so happened to put my Instagram handle right there.
Wow.
I was inspired by somebody. That's my Instagram handle. And then I'm also on faithful.place. If you search Jenny Randle, that's where I hang out with all my creative friends. So it's been an adventure and really fun.
Oh, all right. Yeah. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about faithful.place? Because I kind of want to know.
Oh, okay. Well, it is the best way we've been describing it. It's like the Christian version of Patreon, but also not. So you can sign up and you can follow people whose work you want to learn more about. So mine's a creative community, and there's a lot of aspiring writers, pastors, communicators, business owners, and then there's different tiers. If you want to join like a monthly thing, you can sign up for the tier that you want to get supportive from and things like that. So we do classes, coaching, all sorts of stuff.
Awesome. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should show off those books in the background there. You know, Jenny's wrote quite a few books. And so we love them all and we're big fans. And anyways, and if she's also in She Leads Church, we're big fans. So thanks so much, Jenny, for hanging out with us this morning.
For sure.
Yeah,
Thanks
maybe if you're left us a question, or really she's left a statement, I would love to play her session to my women's group. So maybe you totally can. You can purchase a replay pass and get access to all previous years, not just this year. So you'll get access to this year's, but you'll also get access to the last two.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so
what
many
a deal.
Women. Yeah, like I mean, so many really amazing women of faith that are sharing such amazing content. And so if you saw last week's, you know, with me and Nona, we were watching Jenny's. You can also get access to Jenny's as well to play for your women's group. And we're like fine with that. You want to share that with your women's group? We love it. Like, please watch it all together. There's a workbook, I think, from last year too, that'll be included. So
awesome. Hey, what are you most excited for this year's?
I think our theme of abundance, I'm excited to see what women are going to speak about because it's been such a hard couple of years. And so to me, to like speak to abundance, like really reminds us like what God has called us to. And I feel like that's not just my cup is half full, but my cup is overflowing.
Yes, you're pulling people out of that survival mode.
Yeah, it's time to stop thinking about like just surviving and think about thriving, right?
Yes, I love that. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, me too. So thanks again for joining us, Jenny.
For sure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and if you want to, you can sign up for free for She Leads Church. You can go to sheleadschurch.com and join us there. And I appreciate it. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.